Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to War in the East 2, a brand new game which just came out yesterday, developed by 2x3 Games, published by Matrix and Slytherin Games, and a game that looks at the Eastern Front during World War II in absolutely immaculate and intricate detail, a game unlike any other. This is part number 2 of our look at the tutorial scenario, the attack on Velikie Luki, or Velikie Luki. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really bad at some of my pronunciations. But this is a Soviet counteroffensive in the winter of 1942 to 43. It's a very limited look at the game. So the game allows you to play through the entire Eastern Front in weekly turns in a scale that has a hex for every 10 miles and in a scale that includes every single air unit down to the squadron and group level, or every single ground unit from the division down to the battalion level. So this is crazy detailed in terms of the amount of depth and intricacy to this game. This particular scenario is a 10 scenario introductory scenario to the game. So it only looks at a very small segment of the front. It doesn't look at the entire broad scope of the Eastern Front, and it tries to kind of baby step you into this game and its complexity. It's a tutorial in name only, I would say, in the sense that it is in terms of scope. But if you're interested in getting like an actual walkthrough and explanation of what you should be doing, make sure you check the manual out where that information is provided, because there's no instructions provided other than the normal UI in the gameplay. With that being said, this was taken from a live stream from my Twitch channel, like I said, from yesterday. So let's go ahead and jump back into the live stream at this point in the camp or in the battle and pick things up where we left them off. Let's see here. It looks like the enemy just has the, oh goodness. Well, it looks like they've consolidated the 8th Panzer. So remember, last turn when we saw some fighting going on, they had the 8th Panzer in like 3 different segments, and we engaged one of those segments. But it looks like they've merged the 8th Panzer into one sort of one full division unit here to the west of Velikie Luki, which could be a little bit of a challenge to overcome because that's going to be a much stronger enemy formation. It also looks like they've brought some reinforcements up to the north here, some RFSS motorized brigades. They have the 1st 20th Motorized Division. They have the 2nd 20th Motorized Division. And then in Velikie, or in Luknaya, they have the 291st Infantry Division. So they've reinforced up there. In the south, they just have a couple of Ski Jäger battalions here and a Luftwaffe division, field division. So that might be a little bit stronger if it's a full division. And then you've got the Denmark SS Motorized Infantry Battalion and the 1st 3rd Motorized Battalion. They didn't retake Nivelle, by the way, so that's good at least. Meanwhile, we're going to get some additional troops. It looks like we have maybe all 3 of these of the Estonian divisions and the Guard Rifle Division. I'm not quite sure. But I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just going to kind of keep letting, by the way, it's going to keep telling me about partisans. I'm not really sure what to do about that, if anything. The question, I think an interesting question, and I don't know the answer to this, is if I know I want to attack the 8th Panzer, would it be better to issue a ground attack directive against the enemy unit, or would it be better to set the guys to ground support and then do that? Like, which is better? By the way, also apparently we set air superiority as a directive as well. At least the AI decided to do that. So yeah. Okay. Well, if it's cast, then it's ground support. That's what ground support would be. So I think we're good there. In that case, we'll just end the execute air directives. I'm curious to see if there's any actual air-to-air combat that might go on here. I don't think the Germans have much in the way of aircraft to, take superiority away from us. JD Knights, thank you very much for the sub. 4 months now. Appreciate the support. Coffee, yeah, it releases tomorrow. Hey, Southern, good to see you. Bomb them with my B-17s that worked in War on the Sea. Well, no B-17s here for us. Did the Soviets get any B-17s in Lend-Lease? I don't think they did. but I could be wrong. I know the Americans based some B-17s out of Russia on a couple of occasions. There was like one disaster where the Germans like attacked the airfield they were at and like destroyed 100 of them on the ground or something. All right, so we ran 25 sorties of recon. Ground support hasn't run yet, but that's because we haven't attacked yet. All right, so the 8th Panzer is my objective. By the way, I do love this. When you hover over the unit, you can see, and I'm assuming this is because I have some recon on them from those recon flights. You can see on the bottom, they've got 16 Panzer IIFs. They've got 22 SP flaks, 6 half-track infantry support weapons, 13 light flak, 18 infantry guns, 100 infantry units, squads, 21 engineers, 21 motorcycles. I love that info on the bottom there. That's kind of cool. I knew they confiscated some B-29s, like I didn't know about B-17s. All right, so if we want to attack here, what do we all have? We've got 2 mechanized corps or units, and then we've got the 357th rifle. If we do... So I don't actually have a very strong force to attack them with. 11.4, the enemy's at 8.2. There's no way we're going to overwhelm them that way. I could try and bring these guys. No, I can't even bring these troops north, can I? I don't have the movement points there. Huh. I'm kind of confused sometimes by like how movement points work, but I guess there's no roads there. You can see that's probably why. Meanwhile, these guys took some heavy losses. Can these guys attack here? No, that's going to fail. All right. Well, we do have these additional new units here. 19th Guards. Well, all of them, actually. Let's go ahead and try and move them. Do we have any other units that arrived? No? This might be a quiet turn. Like, why can't they move directly west? Is this... Maybe this hex has reached its maximum stack. Let's move the 357th here, because their strength is a little bit weaker. And then I can move the 47th Guard in once I do that. So it's close to 2-1. Not quite, though. So let's move these guys over here. Um, 19th Guards can't make it there. They don't have the movement points. I just can't, I don't have the strength really to destroy those guys yet. No, 17 assault value there. What is this guy here? The Great Avino Lake Air Base, as well as the 6th Luftwaffe Field Division. All right, we'll do a deliberate attack here. Enemy retreats. They lost over 1,000 men. That was actually a full-blown division, by the way. Okay. You wish the UI was better for streaming, Zach? Yeah. It could be better for streaming. All right, I'm gonna attack. I might be shooting, you know, a little bit early. Waiting a turn might be a smarter thing. But we've got 16. The enemy's got 8. Average roads. Let's see what we can do to the 8th Panzer. They retreated. Hell yeah! Drove them back. Destroyed 71 of their 107 vehicles. Let's go back and look at that. That is a devastating attack for these guys. So it turned out that we actually got 7-1 odds. So I guess we had some fog of war involved. We lost 200 men. They lost 1,100. They lost 25 guns. We lost 9. So they lost a quarter of all their guns in this unit. They lost 71 of their 107 vehicles. If we take a look at the losses in detail, ground losses, they lost 18 Panzer IIILs, 15 Panzer Grenadier squads, 11 Panzer IIFs, 8 Panzer 38 TEs, and then they lost 8 Panzer IVs by the looks of it. So we just crushed the 8th Panzer. Rip to the 8th Panzer. That should make things a little bit easier for us. Anybody move in there? Our mechanized formations can. What do they have? They got the 8th Panzer, which is kind of shattered. Let's also attack to the west here to make sure there's no ability to counterattack from this direction. So we took the airfield and the depot there and routed the 1st Ski Jaeger Battalion. Okay. So good results for us. In theory, the enemy could advance out of this fortress and threaten our own rail supply and lines, but I'm not too worried about that. Will this run on your Chromebook, Zach? Probably not, I would guess. I could be wrong on that one. I don't know for sure. So these guys have enough movement points to move in here. In theory, this depot is now cut off. Did they pull their depot out of here? Access rail usage. I don't see a depot. Did they move it? I had one before. I don't want to attack up there. I don't really have much chance up there. All right, let's... I don't have any roads going this way. That's the problem, is I don't know how I'm going to supply these guys up here. We'll guard the rail line down there with that one unit. I think I get some additional reinforcements that'll be coming on the map before too long. But that's it for this. So let's go ahead and end this turn. Quite a few successful attacks. The enemy lost really heavy casualties. Very good result for us. Ground results, current turn, 22 Panzer IIILs. Quite a few armored vehicles lost for the enemy. The real striking power, that 8th Panzer, suffered quite a bit. They can still hold in defensive terrain with guns and other things like that, but I think that was a very good result for us. That should help us as we move closer toward sort of the middle point of this battle. And with that, let's do a shot for Mother Russia. Screw king and country keeping you warm at night. It's all about the Russian vodka. By the way, does anybody notice how like no major vodka brands that I can think of are actually made in Russia? For all the legacy anyway, at least in the US, whenever I go to liquor stores, it's like most of it's like Norway, Holland, the United States. Even Stoloknaya is made in it's Lithuania, right? Or is it Latvia? It's Latvia. So far, Stein, I'm really enjoying myself. I don't know fully what I'm doing yet. There's still a lot I have to learn, but overall, I think it's interesting. Good point, Peter. I mean, that might be true. All right. The Zach, yeah. It's an interesting game. Can we at least agree on that? The manual is a little bit over the top. Hey, Hermann Goering is the head of. I don't think his. Oh, they've got some Heinkel 111s. Oh shit! Are they doing actual air attack? Oh, they're doing air freight. They're trying to supply troops with airdrops. Oh, I'm sure that'll work real well for them. By the way, you can see they lost several aircraft to our fighters. It didn't look like they had any escorts. I don't think it means anything, PETA. It's just the German view of those units. So when we go back in, I don't think they'll be green. Different units based on the army group or based on which units they belong to have different color coding. It actually almost looks like a Trello board or like something out of like a corporate like spreadsheet to some extent when you look at them, and like each one has their own little view. But I actually really like the UI for like the air units here with these little boxes and the color coding of these different types of units here with sort of brown and red and whatnot. I find that interesting to say the least. Oh, it looks like they cut off my my lead division up here, the 381st. Good thing we moved some reinforcements down here, which either will counterattack these guys because it's just a motorized brigade, or may swing in and surround the surrounders. Okay. So far, the game is claiming this would be an Axis minor victory. We have twice the points of them, but we do actually gain more points. Every turn that we hold Nivelle, we gain 20 points, and the same for any other objective. So, also, if you surround an objective like Velikie Luki or something like that, if it's surrounded at the end of the battle, then you get credit for taking it, I believe. All right, so air directives, we're just going to keep things as they are, I think, right? So we'll execute. I think they just kept the same air directives we had before, which were air superiority, ground support, and recon. So you can see here the recon unit, by the way, was below 60% strength. So that's a little bit concerning. They'd taken quite a few casualties. I don't know that they're actually going to fly any recon this turn. Doesn't look like it. Nice, Commissar. Real Russian vodka is made in basements. Nothing to export. Okay. So that's it. You can see no recon flights were flown. Meanwhile, ground support is waiting for our attacks. The Germans did move a bunch of troops in here to the west of Velikie Luki. What did they move in? They've got the 107th Security Battalion, a fragment of it, so like a company, the 83rd Replacement Battalion, and the 6th Luftwaffe Field Division, which we crippled pretty badly last turn. So I don't think this is going to put up much of a fight. Even doing a hasty attack, which is less thought out, obviously, than a deliberate attack, looks like the enemy's going to be in pretty rough shape. If we attack with both of these units, we'll probably rout these guys from the field. Let's wait on that, actually. So this guy up here, motorized brigade. Wow. Look at that. 10 defensive attack value. I don't want to attack that. That guy's a strong unit. Let's do this instead. Let's cut him off. All right. Do we want to try and pull this guy south to get him out of that encirclement? I don't know how long the enemy is going to be able to stay out of supply. I guess I'm willing to gamble. These security battalions to the west. Let's go ahead and hit them. We shattered one, routed the other. Go ahead and try and shatter these guys too. Retreat, retreat, rout. We routed the 6th field Luftwaffe field division. So we routed one of the enemy's full divisions, fully constituted divisions. What is this down here? I don't know that we'll be able to do that. We'll see. Yep, they retreated. Am I lucky enough to end up with a rifle, or am I following? I don't know. Good question. I probably need to move, like, eventually get some troops into these hexes, right? I just don't like the idea of advancing a motor corps by itself. Okay. All right, so we got some new reinforcements I brought forward. And I think that's going to do it for this particular turn. So we've cut off this enemy brigade. I don't know. They're probably strong enough to counterattack their way out of it. We have, in theory, cut off Velikie Luki again. But I don't know. I might end up losing this damn battle because I'm not taking the enemy fortifications. These guys over here. We'll go ahead and depot manage for AI. Shu, this rear HQ, I don't think it matters if I move them up. They're Stavka, so they're sort of overall headquarters. I don't think it makes a difference if I move them up. I can move up to Durango, I guess. Move the 3rd Air Army forward. We could do that as well. We could move the Kalinin front forward. I'm not sure it makes a difference. I think they're all already in communication, so they're already there. So as long as there's like, it'll have units that are in red if they're not actually in communication. Yellow might be slightly less effective. Yeah, Arena, this is very much a board game style. Meanwhile, we've still got the news about partisans. So let's go ahead and end turn number 4. It is a 10-turn battle, so we should be... I mean, we've still got time. You can see we've taken 3 airfields here in the south, as well as this one objective. It is very different than War in the Pacific Southern. Very different. Part of me wonders sometimes when, like, War in the Pacific... that is car sounds. Is there a similar game that's less complex, PETA? I haven't played a lot of it. Does anybody know if Decisive Campaigns is less complex? Now, that is more campaign-driven. It's not overall strategic-driven in the way the grand campaign in this game is. It is huge in terms of its scope, but like there's Decisive Campaigns Barbarossa, which looks specifically at Operation Barbarossa. There's Decisive Campaigns that looks at the Battle of Stalingrad. Yeah. But I'm not sure if the game gives you... I don't know if it's simple. Decisive Campaigns is fun and less complex, although less than ideal UI. Okay. Thanks, Charcoal. I have not played a lot of Decisive Campaigns, to be honest. I opened it up and thought, wow, this is huge, just like War in the East, but I never really got a vibe for whether it was more or less complex. So the Germans are getting some reinforcements, by the way. We can see this infantry division here on the southwest, or at least infantry unit. Panzer General. I did have the original Panzer General on PlayStation. I think I've still got Allied General somewhere in a drawer. Do I think they'll make something like War in the Pacific again, Southern? No. Let me correct. Do I think do I think this team will make something like War in the Pacific? No. I like to imagine there is someone out there who might make their own version of War in the Pacific, because there is a huge and loyal following around War in the Pacific. So perhaps some of the folks who loved War in the Pacific will have the skills and drive to make their own version of it. But I don't think 2x3 is going to return to War in the Pacific anytime soon. All right, so we're back into the air opera. Whoa, 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 whoa. What? But the 8th Panzer was supposed to be dead. What did they do? They just drove into my rear. Those jerks. God damn it. But I don't know what I'm doing on the airface still. What is this over here? Supply is very low, so that probably explains why maybe they didn't run any flights last turn. Some of their supply situations are bad. Whatever, let's get through the air operation phase, and then I want to get back and see what I can do about these frickin' Germans who drove into my rear and cut my rail supply line. Units will entrench on their own, I believe, Shu. This is War in the East 2. Is it War in the West and the East, or an entirely? So Stein, my understanding is the game is largely built on some of the changes they made with War in the West. I believe notably the air side of things is very, very similar, but there are some discrete differences. I'm not versed enough in the game to know what those are. Do we have some new troops? The 100th Rifle Brigade, the 30th Guard Rifle Regiment. How is this unit still so strong with the casualties we inflicted on it? It's the same company, Major, that made War in the Pacific, yes. So those guys retreated. God, that fortification is impossible. Okay. I really want to know, like, what do these guys have? So it still claims they've got 20 Panzer III-Gs, 16 Panzer III-Ls. Go take the objective. Attack that replacement unit, and it's gone. Destroy that security infantry battalion. Second, 6th Luftwaffe Division? I thought we destroyed that division. Okay, maybe they reformed it. You like the map? It looks historically accurate. Routed that element of the division. I'm just trying to destroy the enemy. God damn them. All right, let's cut this rail line here with these mechanized forces. Nice, we shattered that enemy unit. Always gotta love when you shatter an enemy. It's like a bone shattering. All right, so we've moved 2 mechanized units in here behind Velikie Luki, hopefully to fully cut them off so that we can maybe take them out in a few turns. We've also shifted some troops around to try and cut off the 8th Panzer. We'll see what they do now that they're completely surrounded. Meanwhile, the motorized rifle brigade appears to be advancing into the void of nothingness. We also may have taken this objective here in the north, and we'll have to see how things play out. But overall, I think that was a pretty effective turn. What is this? The 1/3 Mountain Division? 13 combat value? Good God, if that's true. All right. Well, we shall see if we're able to isolate and destroy the 6th Panzer, which would be great. But we still have to take these 2 objectives. We did take a northern objective. We'll see if they try and counterattack at Luknaya. We have taken Nivelle and Luknaya, so 2 of the 4 objectives on the map. The 2 tougher nuts to crack are Novokolonishki and Velikie Luki, which I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing differently every time I say it. But let's see what the Germans have in store for us. Nope. Go ahead and manage my depots, AI. The supply situation has got to be a nightmare. My own troops may not be in great situations either, given the German armored units firmly on our rail line. But we'll see what happens as this next turn runs through. My hope is to get through this tonight, guys. We've been going for about an hour and a half. I figure we can probably get through this in one stream and then maybe start the Soviet campaign in a day or two once I get a little bit better or a little bit understand the game a little bit more. Why is this like a Soviet partisan hex? There's a red hex down here in the southwest. I don't know why. The sack. Ouch. You know, I don't think the maps are as bad as you're suggesting. I think the scale of a game like this means the maps kind of are like, I don't know. I don't know if there's a better way to make a map on this scale better. Remember, each one of these hexes is 10 miles. So it's a pretty freaking detailed map from a resolution perspective. It appears to be snowing, yes. Super average. You can see the little snowflakes around the edge of the maps. Or edge of the hexes. Maybe the Zach, but Paradox would never make a game like this. The current version of Paradox would never make a game like this. So the ski brigade is routed. Well, the 6th broke out, sort of. 131st Rifle Brigade retreats. Okay, so these guys are in the north here are trying to break out. The 6th Panzer drove north and linked up with this brigade that's cut off. And now they had a unit to their front drive one of our brigades back. We've still got the main objective point down here in the south cut off, though. Haven't looked at the mountains yet, Sean Mack. Looks like they drove between the gap of those troops that of ours that got driven back. So they did manage to break out and avoid being destroyed, unfortunately. Okay. We've got 7 units that are under strength, by the way. 4 that are low on supply, 3 that are isolated. So that's great to know. Well, Kylo, it is designed as like a tabletop war game in many ways. Joel Billings, who's the head of the company or whatnot, he actually founded SSI back in the day. But Joel Billings is the 2x3 guy. Him and Gary Grigsby are sort of the 2 foundational guys for 2x3 who made these games. And I believe in an interview a couple of years back, Joel stated that like the inspiration of some of this stuff was like the old garage games that used to be like those huge war games that existed back in like the 70s and 80s that would like take up your entire garage and took forever to play. The general inspiration of those games is what drove this. The idea was like, well, you could never really play those games. Like they just weren't playable. But with computers, it was possible now. Okay, so the map is getting a little bit crazy. Okay, Luki surrounded. They do have 9 trucks, it claims. The 6th Panzer is apparently still a capable fighting force. I just don't understand how they're that strong. All right, so we've got 4 more turns. We've taken this objective in the north. Let's try it at least. See if we can drive back. Yep, we drove back the SS Motor Brigade and also the other motorized division. (31st Rifle Brigade's going to try and block the path of these panzers and probably will get crushed in the process. What happens if you attack a headquarters unit? I'm guessing you damage it, but like, does it matter? Thanks for the follow, that guy from college. Nice, we routed the 6th Luftwaffe Field Division again. Isn't that the second time we've routed them? Sorry, boys. Bad day for you. All right, let's bring... I want to attack. I really want to get our attack going on this fortress down here. All right. So we've still got the 6 Panzer cut off for now. We did drive back and damage the 1st RFSSSS motorized brigade. So this frontline situation is kind of a mess, but let's see what turn number. By the way, does it say victory point wise where we're at? We're still at about twice what they have. 100 from cities. They've got more from men lost, guns lost, AFVs lost, aircraft. Wow, we've actually gotten a fair amount of victory points from aircraft shot down. All right. Well, we're closing in on the conclusion of this particular campaign. You can see we've taken the objective in the north and the south. The 2 center objectives have yet to really seriously been attacked or pressed. I will do that eventually. Velikie Luki is definitely an objective I want to take. Apparently this rail line is still in enemy occupation, so got to figure that out. Also, I'm assuming these troops in the north may be in some tricky supply situations until we take this objective down here, so yeah, I really should be paying more attention to logistics because that could be a problem. We'll see if the enemy does anything with their aircraft. We shot down several of their transport aircraft. We had the exact correct air operation with air superiority picked when they tried to do some airborne transport. Yeah, interestingly enough, super average. I was reading something that said the month before Barbarossa, in May of 41, the Germans lost like 12%, I think, of their fighter force, or maybe it was 12% of their bomber force. Like the Germans were still operating against the British in the Channel, trying to cut merchant shipping through the Channel. And they were suffering between like 5 and 8% on average attrition per month in those air battles. And that's before they even started Operation Barbarossa. That and the Balkans campaign. Yeah, I knew. Crete was particularly bad for, I think it was the 2nd air float, but I can't remember if that was the exact unit or not. Are there different levels of play? Harder? Yes, you can change difficulty. Well, they just retook Luknaya. What all attacked up there? Jesus. All right, so they retook that objective, unfortunately. But that's okay. That's a secondary in my mind. The key is Velikie and then this other objective down here. Let's see here. So 8th Panzer, still pretty strong. They're still isolated. Part of me wonders if it would make sense to bombard them. But I think we'll keep with the same orders that we've had. I'm hoping my recon group starts attacking soon. Let's see here. Lol, men 666. Okay. Let's see. Screw it. I don't care about the air. I'm just letting the AI do it. All right, so we lost Luknaya, which sucks. But maybe we make a play for Velikie Luki or maybe the 8th Panzer. I'm not sure. What do I think would have happened if the Germans hadn't declared war on the U.S.? I think the U.S. would have gone to war with Germany before too long. We were already escorting, shipping to Europe, so the Germans probably would have sunk a U.S. destroyer or something, and then we would have been like, ha! Now we're going to war. Let's see here. How do these guys have so much? They must have dug in or something. How long could they stay dug in? Okay. I don't like the idea of attacking these guys with such poor odds. I don't know what to do. What do they have in this? They've got the security infantry battalion as well as the fortress? Whatever, let's try it. Fuck! They held. We lost 1,500 troops and they lost like 1,000. That was bad. Well, the enemy's digging in now, which is going to make it much more challenging to dislodge them. I'm just going to withdraw to the south. They can take Luki up in the north. And then we're going to try and take Velikie on turn number 8. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, we lost 1,500 men. Blah. I still don't understand how the 8th reformed itself so quickly after losing those casualties. But I'm shortening my line and consolidating my forces to go after those key objectives. Oh boy, alternate history discussion going on in the chat. Okay. Gotta hope they don't counterattack and get more supplies into the troops that we just attacked last turn. I think if we give our own troops a little bit of time to rest and recuperate, you know, a turn or so, then we should be able to take this objective here. But we'll see. Also, we do technically hold this whole rail line up to the north, but I'm assuming since we evacuated most of those troops, the Germans are going to cross that to get the 6th or 8th Panzer or whatever it is back into supply. Looks like the Germans are getting some I mean, it's hard to tell, but it feels like the Germans are getting some meaningful reinforcements here. Also, the troops they have are now dug in. What are they doing? Now they're cutting the road to the southeast of Luki? Or Luki? Well, that seems foolish because one, it's going to make the fortress more vulnerable, and two, then they don't have the benefit of entrenchments. So we're going to keep the air situation the same and unchanged. Although I think something got borked in the recon direct. Oh, never mind. They're flying recon flights again. Literally, just as I say that, I was going to be like, they haven't flown recon flights in several days, so something's obviously messed up. Well, apparently that's not the case anymore. Apparently they are flying recon flights again. They're trying to... Yeah. Part of me wonders if maybe it would have been a better idea to use some of my attack aircraft to like pre-attack bombard, then have some of them assigned for overall directive to support the assault. But we'll see. All right, so I mean, I'm thinking these guys are going to be easier to destroy now. So we've got 23 to 13. Let's go for it. So these enemy units retreated to the south, which then I take the objective, I guess. How does it move that? Huh? And then they all surrendered. So they advanced out of the fort, then they were surrounded, and then I attacked them again and they all surrendered. So yay. Yay. So all the troops that were in the city retreated south of the city when they were attacked into the open, and then just put their hands up and were like, we surrender. We're done. Okay. Whatever. All right, you can see the enemy has formed the 291st Infantry, the 1/3 Mountain, and the 220th, which feels like they're trying to flank me in the north here near Luknaya, but I'm just pulling those troops back on that front. But it does feel like I've lost a lot of my momentum. I have taken the key objective of the entire battle, I believe. So that'll help. So we now have 2 objectives in our hands. We held one for a while. We're on turn 8 of 10 possible turns. I'm curious what the victory situation is going to be once the German turn ends. We'll see what it says. But that was the key objective that we're supposed to take, so. No, the 8th Panzer, I think they got out somehow. Somewhere. Somehow, some way, 8th Panzer's gonna drive out someday. Do I have any paragroups, Reener? Not in this battle. Paratroopers do exist, though, for sure. But I don't have any in this particular fight. I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a series as the Russians, and what we'll do is we'll start every turn with the German attack, just as we sort of do the War in the Pacific turn, and then we'll do, you know, highlight our key moves. I don't know if it makes a lot of sense to live stream that series. That may not be the best use of everybody's time, but I do want to do a series on YouTube looking at the game. So we'll see how that looks, and what the exact format is. Meanwhile, I know we're wrapping this particular battle up. We still got a couple of turns left, but I will be live streaming the War in the Pacific turn from Lieutenant Rainbow Slash that I got back tomorrow. And it's a pretty interesting turn, so I would tune in for that. Unless you guys want to stick around for another hour at the conclusion of this, because I could show you the turn tonight too. All right, so let's see here. 6 units low supply, 7 under strength, 2 unready. Soviet minor victories so far, if we look at the victory points here. 30 from Luknaya, which we held for a while. 140 from Nivelle. 20 from Velikie Luki. So we're going to go ahead and skip through the air phase again. The AI is still managing it as they have been the entire time. By the way, I did really enjoy that little intro video for the game. So when you open the game, it plays it like, for whatever reason, I don't know why, and they do this in War in the Pacific too. It plays in like a really small windowed version of it, where it's like just a small portion of the screen. But if you go into the files of the game, it's actually there in a WAV file, and you can run it at 1080 or whatever resolution you want to and see it in full screen. So I just pulled that out, threw that into OBS, and ran that at the start of the stream, and I thought it looked pretty sweet. All right, so we're almost done. We're on turn number 9, so we've got 2 turns left. This in turn number 10. We've taken Velikie Luki, which is big for us. It looks like the enemy has the Denmark SS Motorized Infantry Battalion in the fortification at Novo-Zelinki, or however you pronounce that. Why can't I move any of these troops that way? I guess it's overstacked. Yeah, I think that's the issue. I think there's too many troops there. All right, well. Attack. Yeah! Fortress captured, retreated. We got the objective, boys. We drove them back. Move those motorized troops in there, move some infantry support in there. So these guys are dug in again. Holy hell. And so we're shifting our forces around a little bit. All right, so we took that next objective. But I can't attack anywhere else because the enemy's too freaking strong to assail. I guess we can attack here. I want to destroy as many Germans as I can. We got to kill all the freaking fascists. Get them, boys. I don't think there's any way we get back to Loknaya, but we did take the last objective, so the only one left is the one we held for quite a while at Loknaya, which the Germans counterattacked and retook. Overall, that's a good result. I'm happy with taking that other fortress basically right away with a large-scale assault. We'll move to the final turn, and we'll see what comes of it. But I'm hoping we'll get a major victory now. Yes, Stein, each turn is 1 week. Soviet major victory, there you go. There you have it. 853 Soviet victory points, 243 for the Germans. Looks like the Soviets lost 25,000 troops, 401 guns, 307 AFVs, and 171 aircraft. The Germans, meanwhile, lost 20,000 troops, 463 guns, and 143 AFVs, 71 of them in one particular attack on the 8th Panzer, and 21 aircraft. In terms of, by the way, I think it's hilarious that one victory point of German, if you kill 666 German troops, that equals 1 victory point. Like, is that deliberate, guys? Is that some kind of Easter egg? Like 666 equals 1 victory point. But just for the Germans, it's 1,000 for the Soviets. Anyway, so you can see that we took Novo-Zelinki, we took Velikie Luki, we took Nivelle. We were unable to hold Loknaya for the entire time, but we did hold it for a period of time. The Germans get some victory points for retaking this objective that they had lost, and we get a 3.5 to 1 victory point advantage with a Soviet major victory. If we go to the view on map, you can see this is the final map dispositions of the enemy and our own troops. And so, yeah, I think if the battle had continued, we probably would have been able to continue driving west, although the enemy had been able to dig in enough that it would have probably been somewhat painful to do. I don't even see where the Panzer division went. They pulled the 8th Panzer all the way back here, maybe to refit. You can refit, by the way. You can order units to refit. They're back up to 70 Panzer IIIs, although they're Ms. I don't know the difference between the Ms and the Ps or whatever we destroyed. But we'll learn more about that in the upcoming videos as we start to look at the Soviet Grand Campaign, which I really do want to do. So that's probably what'll be next. With that being said, that's going to do it for this episode. So we won a victory in the tutorial. We'll see how things play out as we try and take things at a little bit of a broader scope. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave your thoughts down below. And until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, thank you very much for watching. And until next time, I'm out.